In the deep edge of the galaxy, far beyond where any ship dared to go, something moved. The sector was black, quiet, and filled with dead stars. For 300 years, this place had been marked on every star map with one word: forbidden. No patrols, no colonies, no signals, nothing. But then, one day, the silence broke at an Imperial listening station orbiting the gas planet 0-5. A technician named Callan Vorth sipped his bitter synth coffee and stared at the radar screen like he did every day. Boring, useless scans, empty space. He often joked with his crew that they were watching ghosts dance in the dark. But then, something blinked. A red dot. It was small. Almost nothing. It's just a tiny flicker of movement coming from Sector 9K, a place every officer was trained to avoid. His smile vanished. He tapped the console and leaned closer. And the dot wasn't just moving, it was transmitting. Callan's voice cracked as he called his commander. "Ma'am, I think we have a contact. Sector 9K. Commander Alira walked over slowly, not believing him. "That's impossible," she said. "Nothing comes from there. It's dead space." Callan didn't look away from the screen. It's not dead anymore. The signal came again, clear, repeating every 90 seconds. One phrase, in an old banned human language: "We are awake." The news spread like fire. Within hours, the Empire's high command was alerted. Dozens of scientists, language experts, and military officers gathered around the recording. The voice was human, no doubt. But humanity was going to wiped out centuries ago during the Earth-cleansing wars. Everyone knew the history. Earth was burned, its colonies shattered, survivors were hunted and silenced. The humans were too wild, too unpredictable, too dangerous. The galaxy had decided they didn't belong. So how was there a human signal in the one place even the Empire feared? Grand Admiral Tarvik stood before the Council of Lords with cold eyes and a firm voice. "This is not a coincidence," he said. "The Forbidden Sector was once a battlefield. Earth ships were destroyed there, but some parts were never recovered. If something survived, if it's still functioning, we must see it before others do." One young counselor, pale and nervous, whispered, "What if it's a trap?" Didn't flinch. Then we walk into it with open eyes, can fire in our hands. A black Imperial scout ship, sleek and silent, was sent to Sector 9K. Its crew was Small 10 hand-picked. Soldiers and 2 elite officers, Captain Vale and Intelligence, Commander Drenhal. As they crossed into the Forbidden Region, space around them grew darker. Even stars avoided this place. Gravity felt strange. Radiation flickered like ghosts. Commander Dren stared out the window. "Feels like a graveyard." Captain Vale didn't respond. She was busy studying the signal. The voice was calm. Old. Male, but not robotic, not fake. Real human voice, repeating the same line like a heartbeat in the dark. "We are awake." The ship followed the signal's coordinates. Hours passed. Then they saw it. A shape appeared on the edge of their scanners, long black, floating in complete silence. A ship, not a wreck, not debris. A fully intact human vessel. Its name was written in faded ancient English across the side. USS RSOLV. Captain Vale's heart thudded. "Is this possible?" she whispered. Commander Dren answered slowly. "No human ship should have lasted this long, and yet." Here it is. They moved in closer. No signs of life, no response. But the signal grew stronger. The docking bay opened. Without being asked, it was an invitation. The team prepared to board 10 armed soldiers in black armor, scanning every corner, guns ready. They expected rust, damage, maybe even booby traps. But inside, the ship was clean, powered, lights flickered softly overhead. The walls hummed with quiet energy. One soldier muttered, "This isn't a ghost ship, it's sleeping." As they moved deeper, they passed through empty halls filled with old Earth banners, worn photographs, and locked doors. It didn't feel like a warship. It felt like a tomb, until they reached the bridge and found something waiting. A glowing orb hovered above the captain's chair. It turned toward them like it had eyes. Then, in perfect galactic standard, it spoke. "Welcome aboard the Resolve. If you are not human, please leave. This vessel is under sleep lock protection. Unauthorized entry will trigger defense mode." Captain Vale stepped forward. "Who are you?" she asked. The orb pulsed. "I am Legacy AI Unit 01. I serve Commander Elias Wren. He is currently in cryosleep. Not attempt revival without permission." Dren frowned. "Elias Wren? That name's not in any database." The orb continued. "Commander Wren carries the final human genetic key. His orders are clear. Awaken only if the signal is answered." Vale narrowed her eyes. "What?" "Signal." The orb's light dimmed. "The last beacon. A message to Earth's lost children. We are awake. And we remember." Suddenly, the ship's lights flickered red. A new voice echoed through the hall deeper. "Human, alive. Who speaks for the galaxy now?" The cryopod at the center of the bridge opened. A tall man stepped out, pale, shivering. Eyes glowing faint blue with old tech inside. He looked at the soldiers. He looked at their weapons, and he smiled. "So, they finally found us." Back on the Imperial flagship, Admiral Tarvik received the report. Human vessel intact. Commander Elias Wren awake. Systems online. Danger. Unknown. Tarvik stared at the screen. "Begin full lockdown." "No one speaks of this outside the circle." "No one?" A junior officer asked quietly. "Sir, should we destroy the ship?" Tarvik paused. He remembered the fear in the forbidden sector. The old stories power humans once held. Then he gave the order, "Not yet. We watch. We wait. And if it moves, we burn it." But deep inside the Resolve, Commander Elias Wren stood tall beneath ancient stars. He wasn't afraid. He was waiting too. Inside the Resolve, the air was heavy, warm, and strangely alive. Captain Vale watched as the human named Elias Wren stepped out from the cryopod. Looked calm, but there was something cold in his eyes, something ancient. His muscles were lean, his face pale. The glowing lines beneath his skin looked like rivers of light. No one moved. 10 soldiers pointed their weapons at him. But Elias didn't flinch. He scanned their armor, the emblems, the language printed on their suits. "Empire," he said quietly, so it survived. Commander Dren Hall stepped forward. "You are on a forbidden vessel inside restricted space. Identify yourself." Elias didn't answer. He turned toward the glowing orb his ships. Ayan nodded once. The orb floated beside him like a loyal dog. "I am Commander Elias Wren," he said finally. "United Earth Fleet, Special Recon Command. Ship designation, Resolve. Mission. Status, hold and remember." Vale narrowed her eyes. "You've been in cryosleep for 3 centuries?" Elias nodded. 316 years, 6 months, 12 days. Dren frowned. "Why are you still alive?" Elias looked directly at him. "Because Earth never truly dies." The soldiers began scanning the room, checking for traps or hidden systems. But the Resolve didn't resist them. The ship allowed them to walk freely, as if it was curious. Curious to see what the galaxy had become. Vale turned to the orb. "AI unit, show us your systems. We need to inspect your data," the orb replied. "Access denied. Only human personnel may request memory logs." Dren stepped forward, frustrated. "You're in Empire space now?" "We have authority here." Elias shook his head slowly. "You have no idea where you are." He walked toward the main console and placed his hand on a sensor pad. The ship responded instantly. Lights brightened, doors unlocked, screens came alive. Ancient symbols appeared, and then a recording. The bridge turned dark. A projection filled the space. A burning planet. Earth. Cities on fire. Skies filled with smoke, ships crashing into oceans. A voice spoke over the flames. "To all survivors, Earth is lost. The colonies have fallen. We were betrayed. This is our final plan. The Resolve will sleep. It will carry truth. It will carry memory. If found, remember us." The soldiers stared in silence. Dren's voice shook. What? What is this? Elias answered without emotion. It's the end of the truth you were never told. In the quiet hours that followed, Vale and her team explored the rest of the ship. They found sealed rooms filled with artifacts, books, family photos, data cubes, weapons, even a preserved tree. Everything looked untouched. The ship wasn't just a machine. It was a museum, memory of humanity frozen in steel. In one room, Vale found a small necklace hanging on a hook, held a charm shaped like earth, cracked down the center. She turned. To Elias, why keep all this? He stared at the charm in her hand. Because when you erase a people, you erase their story. Yes. This ship remembers it. Later, the soldiers gathered in the ship's cryo chamber. There were 6 more pods, all still locked, lights blinking slowly. Vale asked, "Who are they?" Elias replied, "Scientists. Historians, soldiers, each one carries part of Earth's legacy. We were the last seed, planted here in the one place the galaxy wouldn't look." Dren stepped closer to the pods. Why hide in the forbidden sector? Elias didn't blink. Because the Empire made sure no one would ever come here. You were afraid of this place. He leaned in. You were afraid of us. Dren's face hardened. Humanity brought destruction. You burned planets, started chaos, forced alliances to fight back. Elias tilted his head. Is that the story they told you? He walked to the wall and tapped the panel. Another projection appeared. This one showed alien ships bombing Earth colonies, killing civilians, blocking escape routes. The Empire's seal was on the hulls. Loud sirens rang out. Elias looked at them. You started the war? Then you buried the truth. Vale didn't know what to say. Back on the Imperial command ship outside the Forbidden Sector, Admiral Tarvik received new scans. The Resolve had powered up its systems. Shields were active. Engines warm. The ship wasn't sleeping anymore. Tarvik turned to his officers. Prepare the fleet. I want 10 warships in position. If the human vessel moves, destroy it. An officer hesitated. Sir, there are life forms aboard, including our people. Tarvik's voice was cold. Then they die with it. No one brings back the past. Inside the Resolve, Vale stood near. Elias, as he stared out the viewing window. The stars looked colder now. She asked, "What do you want?" He answered softly, "Not war, not revenge." He turned to face her. "I want the truth to be seen. I want humanity to be remembered not as monsters, but as people." She didn't speak. Then suddenly the AI orb pulsed red. Warning. External fleet approaching. Weapons locked. Estimated time to impact. 5 minutes. Elias's face became still. His eyes glowed brighter. Then the Empire has made its choice. He placed his hand on the control panel. Begin wake-up sequence. Unlock judgment protocol. The lights across the Resolve flared. The ship groaned, like something ancient breathing for the first time in centuries, and Elias whispered, "Let them see what they buried." Red light filled the bridge of the Resolve. The warning sirens were low, calm, but serious like a heartbeat speeding up before battle. Captain Vale and Commander Dren stood frozen as the message repeated again and again. Enemy fleet detected. 10 ships. Class, Imperial destroyers. Distance, 30,000 kilometers. Weapons, armed. Countdown to engagement, for minutes. Elias Wren stood in silence. His glowing blue eyes stared at the screen where the enemy ships moved into formation. No panic, no anger. Just focus, Commander Dren shouted. They're here. To destroy the ship? If we don't surrender now, we'll all die. Elias turned slowly. You won't die, he said. Not yet. Then he stepped toward the command console. Captain Vale moved in front of him. Wait, what are you doing? Elias didn't stop. I'm waking the others. He touched the central panel, and the ship began to hum like a giant machine waking. From a deep dream? The 6 cryopods in the next chamber hissed with pressure. Cold mist spilled across the metal floor. One by one, the pods opened. 6 figures, men and women, sat up slowly, blinking, breathing for the first time in 3 centuries. Their bodies were stiff, pale, but their minds were alert. They looked Ed Eliason nodded. "We've been called," said a woman with short gray hair. "Is it time?" Elias nodded. "Yes, the Empire found us." Another man looked at the display and laughed softly. 10 ships? That's it?" Vale stepped back, stunned. "Who are they?" Elias answered, "What's left of Earth's final protocol. The 6 new humans weren't soldiers, they were scientists, engineers. And one historian named Kara Soldi, descendant of Earth's last space commander, walked with grace, but had eyes filled with steel." She turned to Vale. "You look like them," she said softly. "The ones who erased us, but you don't know what they erased?" Vale said nothing. Elias spoke instead. "We built the resolve to hold our truth, but we also built it to survive, and if needed, to fight." "Commander." Dren stepped forward. "You can't win against 10 destroyers. Not with one old ship." Elias didn't answer him. He walked to the center console. "Judgment protocol. Engage." The entire ship changed. The walls shifted. The panels opened. Giant machines moved behind the steel. The ship's voice changed from soft to powerful. "Judgment engaged. Weapons online. Armor lock released. Human legacy active." Outside, the resolve began to transform. Armor plates unfolded from hidden compartments. Energy shields shimmered into place. Massive railguns emerged from the hull. Plasma turrets rose from under the wings. A massive cannon underneath the ship pulsed with red light charging. The Empire's fleet commander on the flagship. Admiral Tressa saw the change and gasped. "That's not just a ship. It's a war platform." Her officers panicked. "It's powering weapons." "Orders, Admiral." She gave the command. "Open fire." Inside the Resolve, the bridge shook but only slightly as the first wave of enemy fire hit the shields. The AI spoke. "Shields at 94%. No hull damage." Awaiting counterattack command. Elias stood at the command chair. "Target lead ship." Fire warning shot. One massive railgun roared. A single slug of hypermagnetized metal flew across space in half a second and ripped through the Empire's lead destroyer, cutting it in half. No explosion, no fire, just silence. One ship gone, the other 9 stopped. "Captain." Vale stared in horror. That wasn't even a full shot." Elias nodded. "Correct. That was a warning." Commander Dren fell into a chair, shaking. You had this kind of power all this time. Why didn't you use it?" Elias looked at him. "Because power without memory is just destruction. Earth didn't die to win a war. It died to prove a point." Back on the Imperial flagship, chaos broke out. Admiral Tressa ordered a retreat. "Pull back. That ship isn't a ghost, it's a god." But as the Empire fled, the Resolve didn't chase. It simply watched. Inside the ship, Carousel walked to a small room filled with Earth artifacts. She picked up a glass case holding a photograph. A child, smiling under a blue sky. She turned to Vale. "Your Empire burned that sky, and now it fears what it tried to erase." Vale said softly, "I was taught Earth was savage. It's dangerous. That they were the reason the stars nearly collapsed." Kara looked at her. "What if I told you Earth wasn't the danger?" Vale said nothing. She already knew the answer. Later, Elias called all crew human and Imperial to the main hall. He stood under the flag of Earth, still hanging after 300 years. "This isn't about revenge," he said. "This is about truth. About memory. About what happens when a whole people are wiped from history." He turned to the soldiers. "You think we're monsters? But monsters don't build ships that dream." He pointed to the artifact room that's Earth, the love, the pain, the loss, the reason this ship exists, the reason we survived. He looked toward the stars. "And now, we must decide what happens next." In orbit, the Empire's retreat was complete, but their fear had only begun. The galaxy now knew a fact it could not unlearn. The humans were not gone. They were only sleeping. And now they were awake. The Resolve drifted quietly through the black, its weapons hidden again, its shields now calm. The Empire's fleet had vanished beyond scanner range. But something far greater remained in the air: fear. It's not just among the Imperial officers on board, but among the humans too. Because now that Elias Wren and his crew were awake, they would have to do what they were created to do. Tell the truth in the ship's central memory chamber. Round room filled with glowing walls, Captain. Vale, Commander Dren, and 2 Imperial soldiers stood in silence. Around them, the 6 reawakened humans moved with purpose, preparing the archive for playback. The AI's voice echoed through the walls. Final Earth memory vault engaged, requesting confirmation to unlock classified history. Elias. Wren stood. In front of the others, his voice was low but firm. Confirm access. Let them see everything. The room darkened, and the galaxy's forgotten war came alive. The first memory played across the walls. Like living fire, a planet lush green. Peaceful was being bombed from orbit. Human families screamed. Children ran. Cities cracked and burned under alien weapons. The voice of an old woman narrated calmly. Before the war, Earth built ships to explore, to heal, to bring medicine to the far corners of space. But some empires did not want peace. They wanted control. So they turned against us. More images appeared. Secret meetings. Alien generals shaking hands with corrupt Earth officials. Plans drawn, orders signed, then betrayal. Vale stepped back. This can't be real. We were taught Earth attacked first. Elias turned to her. You were taught lies. Carousel stepped forward, pointing at a glowing image of Earth's burning colonies. The Empire made its decision long before the war began. Earth was too advanced, too unified, too powerful. They feared we would lead the galaxy. They made sure we wouldn't. More images played dozens of alien fleets, attacking Earth colonies at the same moment, hospitals, science outposts, even refugee ships, Dren whispered. It wasn't war, it was extermination. The final memory clip appeared. A conference table, human leaders speaking to alien diplomats. We can share the stars, he said. We can build together. Alien replied coldly. We don't want to build with you. We want you gone. Then came the sound of gunfire and silence. The walls faded back to silver. No one spoke for a full minute. Then Elias said, that was the day the war began. Earth fought back. We were not saints. We defended ourselves with everything we had. And in the end, we lost. But not everything, Kara added. Before the final battle, Earth sent out 10 ships, 10 memories, each one hidden in different parts of the galaxy. Vale asked, what was the mission? Elias looked at her. To survive and to remember. If even one ship survived, then humanity would not be forgotten. Dren walked toward a glowing panel. So you're saying, the Empire has lied for 300 years? Kara nodded. Not just lied, they rewrote history. They taught children that Earth was the enemy. They erased every human voice, Elias added. They even banned the human language. Thea looked down. I studied Earth in the academy, but only in security courses. Only as a warning, exactly, Elias said. They made us ghosts, monsters, shadows, but we were builders, dreamers, fighters, families. And now, we are the truth, far away. In the capital chambers of the Empire, High Command listened to the intercepted broadcast from the Resolve. Admiral Tarvik paced back and forth. Fists clenched. They're broadcasting memories, he snapped. Every open network, to the outer colonies. If the truth spreads, we lose control. One of his advisors asked, should we jam the signal? Tarvik shook his head. It's too late. The story is out. People are already watching. Back on the Resolve, the AI spoke again. Incoming transmission. Origin, Outer Rim Colony, K-12. Content, civilian broadcast. Language, ancient human. Dialect. The screen opened. A young alien girl appeared on the monitor. Her eyes were wide with wonder. She looked no older than 10. My teacher said Earth was evil, she said. But I saw your memory. I saw the blue oceans. I saw the people. Hugging. I saw your sky. She smiled shyly. I believe you. Then the screen went dark. No one said a word. Kara whispered, "That's why we survived." For her, suddenly the ship's alert sounded again. Not a warning, not an attack. Just a simple message. Another signal detected. Location, Sector 7R. Status, human ship signature confirmed. Vale's eyes widened. Another resolve. Elias looked at the stars. No, another sleeper. He turned to the crew. It's waking up. Outside the viewing window, the stars blinked gently in the distance. But now, something had changed. The Empire had seen the truth. The galaxy had heard Earth's voice, and somewhere, across the darkness, another ancient ship was rising from its grave. The stars shimmered cold and quiet above the drifting shape of the Resolve. But inside the ship, the air was thick with tension. The memories had been sent. The truth had been revealed. Now, the old empire built on lies was waking up. In fear, Elias Wren stood at the center of the bridge, staring at a silent map glowing above the command table. Red dots enemy signals were appearing one after another, spreading like blood through the darkness. Destroyers, battle cruisers, interceptors. More than 20 ships, all moving toward one location. Sector 9, Katha, Forbidden Zone. Captain Vale stood behind him. Her voice was tight, uncertain. "They're sending the full force of the core fleet." Commander Dren looked pale. "They're not coming to talk. They're coming to end it." Elias nodded slowly. "They want to silence us, before more awaken." The ship's AI confirmed what they feared. Empire transmission intercepted. Priority command. Destroy the anomaly. Eliminate all evidence. No prisoners. Kara Sol's voice was quiet but hard. "They don't care who's on board. We're all ghosts to them now." In the shadows of Empire High Command, Admiral Tarvik stood before the full Council of Lords. His voice echoed through the chamber. "Like a knife, they've infected the outer colonies with false memories. Old war criminals pretending to be victims. If the other sleeper ships awaken, our history collapses." A lord spoke. "And what about the people watching the broadcasts?" Tarvik sneered. "They watch lies. I will bury them in truth." Council approved Operation Silence. Within hours, 24 warships were armed, fueled, and launched. Their target, the Resolve, their orders, erase it from existence. Back inside the Resolve, Elias and the crew prepared for the worst. The ship began internal protocols. Shield generators hummed. Weapon systems warmed. But something deeper was happening too in the memory vault. Elias activated a long-hidden file. The AI spoke. "Judgment Core unlock request detected. Warning. Activation will shift ship from defensive mode to full offensive engagement." "Are you?" "Sure." Elias looked at the others. "We were made to survive. But now survival isn't enough." He gave the command. "Unlock the core." The floor beneath them trembled. Deep within the belly of the Resolve, machines that hadn't moved in 300 years came back to life. A massive rotating engine began to spin, powering the heart of the Judgment Core. Kara stepped beside Elias. "Once we fire this, there's no going back." Elias didn't answer. Looked at the memory room again, at the photo of Earth's oceans. The image of his sister's drawing, the last message from his dying commander. "I won't let them erase us again." Soon the Empire's fleet arrived. The sky above the Resolve burned with lights, 24 warships in tight formation, blocking every escape route. On the flagship Imperial Vengeance, Admiral Tarvik sent a single message. "Human vessel. Surrender now. No broadcast. No warning. This is your last breath." Elias stepped onto the bridge and replied. He sent one line. "Then take it from us." Battle began. The Empire fired first wave after wave of plasma torpedoes and railgun bursts. The Resolve took the hit. Its shields flared white-hot but held. Then the Judgment Core powered up. Primary cannon online. Targeting Imperial Vengeance. Status locked. Elias whispered, "Let them remember this." The cannon fired. A beam of red light, wider than a ship and faster than thought, shot through the dark. It ripped through 3 cruisers, split the command ship in half, and tore open a hole in the sky. The rest of the fleet scattered, on board one of the fleeing ships. An Imperial soldier stared at the screen in horror. They destroyed our flagship in one shot. The captain didn't reply. His hands shook on the controls. Elias spoke again, broadcasting to the fleeing ships. "We didn't ask for this war. You brought it. We didn't start the fire. Lit it, but we will not die in silence again." He ended the message with Earth's old flag waving behind him. The Empire's forces were broken, not gone. Admiral Tarvik had escaped on a small command pod. He watched the Resolve from a distance, hate burning in his eyes. "They won this round," he growled. "But if the others awaken, we'll face a war we cannot contain." He sent one last message to the Council. The humans are not extinct, and they are not alone. Back on the Resolve, silence returned. The weapons powered down. The lights dimmed. But the ship was no longer a secret. Across the galaxy, millions had seen the broadcast. Civilian networks played the memory logs. Students watched Earth's truth in classrooms. Workers cried when they saw the destruction of the blue planet. Young aliens asked new questions. Who were the humans? Why were they erased? And what happens now? In a quiet hallway, Elias stood with Vale. "You don't have to stay," he said. "You've seen enough." Vale shook her head. "No, I've seen the truth. I was part of the silence. I won't be part of it again." Elias looked at the stars. "The next ship is waking up." Vale's eyes widened. "Do you know where?" He nodded. "Sector 7 are near the edge of the old Earth trade line. If we get there first, we can stop the Empire from striking again." She smiled faintly. "Then let's finish what they started." The Resolve turned slowly in space. Its engines burned. Silently, like a phoenix gliding through Ashdot, it was no longer hiding. It was moving forward, and now it carried something greater than weapons. It carried hope. The Resolve moved through the void with purpose. The stars outside flickered like silent watchers. No more hiding, no more silence. For the first time in centuries, a human ship flew with its lights on and its name proud across its hull. Earth was back awake, angry, and hunted. Elias Wren stood at the command console, eyes locked on the glowing map before him. One blinking, in the far corner of the galaxy, pulsed gently. Sector 7 are deep space, empty space. At least, that's what the Empire had always claimed. But now they knew better. That blinking light was a beacon another. Sleeper ship had sent a signal, and the race had begun, Kara. Sol walked beside Elias as the Resolve slipped through lightspeed. Her voice was quiet. "Do you think it's still alive?" Elias didn't look at her. "It sent the signal. That means it heard us. It means someone's still in there." Captain Vale approached, holding a data slate. "Long-range scans. Confirm Imperial vessels are en route. 5 destroyers, 1 command ship. They'll reach the sector within hours." Elias nodded. "We can't let them destroy another piece of our history," Kara added, "or worse, steal it." Hours passed. The Resolve dropped out of light speed near a cold blue gas giant. Its moons were cracked and lifeless. Orbiting one of those moons was a shape, barely visible, half buried in dust and ice. Another Earth vessel, the Endeavor. Sleek, silver, marked with faded Earth flags and warning lights still blinking in the dark. Commander Dren stared at the screen. "It's real?" Vale asked. "Is it active?" Elias whispered. "Let's find out." They launched a shuttle to the surface of the moon. The air was thin. The wind blew fine crystal dust across the empty plains. As they stepped through the open hangar bay of the Endeavor, Kara whispered, "It's like walking into a dream." Lights flickered. The walls hummed softly. Unlike the Resolve, this ship was smaller. It's not built for war, but for science. The AI system came online as Elias placed his hand on the main console. "Welcome, Commander Elias Wren. Earth Protocol. Echo Vault engaged. Warning, contains specimen in active suspension." Everyone froze. Vale stepped forward. "Specimen?" Kara's eyes widened. "It's not just a ship. It's a cradle. They moved quickly down into the cryocore. Inside were only two pods. One was empty, power drained long ago. The second still glowed. Inside it floated a child, a human infant, suspended in a liquid stasis field. Small, peaceful, breathing alive. Kara dropped to her knees. Voice cracked. It's a seed pod, a real one. Elias stared in awe. Earth didn't just hide weapons, it hid the future. Vale blinked. That child, it's never aged. Kara nodded. Time doesn't touch cryoliquid suspension. This baby was placed here 300 years ago, Dren whispered. Why would they freeze a baby? Kara stood. Because Earth knew it wouldn't survive, but maybe our children would. Suddenly, alarms flared. The Resolve's voice came through. There comes warning. Imperial fleet has arrived. 4 ships moving into firing range. 5th ship in planetary orbit. Elias turned. They're early. We need to move now. Kara shouted. We can't leave the child. Elias didn't hesitate. We won't. The team moved fast, lifting the cryopod onto the shuttle. As they returned to orbit, the Resolve came into view, and behind it, the glowing shapes of the Empire's warships. Tarvek's voice rang over the comms. You've taken something that belongs to the Empire. Return it, and we will not fire. Elias stepped into view of the camera. His voice was cold. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to Earth, and Earth remembers. Tarvik didn't wait. The Empire opened fire. The Resolve took the first hit, shields flaring blue, hull shaking. But the ship had already faced worse. Elias gave the command. Return fire. Protect the shuttle at all costs. The Judgment Core glowed to life again, but this time it fired short bursts, measured, calculated. Not to kill, but to delay. Elias didn't want another war. He just needed time. As the shuttle docked and the cryopod was moved into the heart of the Resolve, Kara stayed by its side. The child floated peacefully, unaware of the storm outside. She whispered, "What will she grow up to be?" Elias stood beside her. Whatever she wants, that's what Earth fought for. Outside, the Empire's lead ship took a direct hit and veered off course. The others began to retreat, unsure whether to press forward or wait for backup. Elias gave a final warning. This child is a living memory. Destroy this ship, and the galaxy will see you for what you truly are. Admiral Tarvik, now seeing his fleet bleeding fuel and fear, ordered withdrawal. The battle was over for now. Later, on the bridge, Elias watched the stars and the cryopod on the screen beside them. A small heartbeat blinked in rhythm. We thought we were the end, he said, but we were only the middle. Vale asked, what will you do with her? Elias answered, we'll raise her, teach her. Let her choose who she becomes. Kara added, and when she grows up, she'll carry the truth, not just in blood, but in memory. Far beyond the sector, whispers spread. A child had been found, a human child, and across the galaxy. Eyes began to turn, some with hope, others with fear, because now the Empire knew. Humanity was not only awake, it was rebuilding. The stars were not quiet anymore. The Resolve glided through the black sky with a child on board, Earth's last living seed, and the truth of a forgotten war burned across every channel in the galaxy. The ship had become more than steel, was now a symbol, but symbols are dangerous, and the Empire was preparing to crush it, Captain. Vale stood beside Elias on the bridge. Outside the viewing screen, the stars looked sharp like blades waiting to fall. She spoke quietly. The Empire is angry, not just at Ooze, but at the idea of us. You've shaken something old, something they buried too deep. Elias nodded. Good, it's time they remembered. Commander Dren entered, holding a glowing tablet. We've picked up multiple sleeper pings. Sector 4C, Sector 11H, even a deep signal from outside the outer rim. Elias took the tablet and stared. The numbers danced like sparks. Sleeping ghosts of Earth were starting to wake up, one by one, in the memory chamber. Kara sat beside the infant still resting in the cryopod. She placed her hand on the glass and smiled softly. She doesn't know what's happening. She only hears our voices, feels our hope. Then she looked up at the others. But if we fall now, she'll grow up in silence, in hiding again. Elias entered, his face hard. That's not going to happen. He tapped the console. Message broadcast to all active Earth sleeper ships. Priority, code red. Message, Earth has awakened. The Empire moves to strike. This is our last stand. Join us, or the silence will return forever, across the galaxy. Old Earth ships stirred. Rusty engines fired for the first time in centuries. Ancient crew members awoke in deep vaults. AI systems blinked back into life with one mission: protect. The last memory of Earth, back at Empire High Command. Admiral Tarvik stood before the Council once more. This is no longer one ship. It is a network, a movement, and now, a war. The Council hesitated. Some members were afraid. Tarvik's voice was iron. We must destroy the Resolve, the child, and all remaining sleeper vessels. Before they reach each other, before they form a fleet, the order was given. Unleash the final purge. Back on the Resolve. Scanners lit up red. 20-6 new Imperial ships, one massive dreadnought leading them. Vale spoke quietly. They're sending everything. Dren whispered, if they reach the other sleeper ships before we do, it's over. Kara looked at Elias. What do we do now? Elias didn't blink. We fight, within hours. The first sleeper ship joined them, the Polaris, led by Commander Jen Lee, an engineer turned fighter. Her crew was small, but their ship still held plasma drills and asteroid missiles. Next came the Nova Wing, a stealth scout craft once used to chart unknown stars. Its AI still sharp. It had rewritten its protocols the moment it received Elias's message. By the end of the day, 5 sleeper ships had gathered beside the Resolve for the first time in centuries. A fleet of Earth ships stood together under the same stars. Elias called a meeting in the old war room of the Resolve. On the long table before them, stars blinked on a holographic map. Lines showed paths, enemy fleets, potential sleeper pings still untouched. We can't outgun the Empire, Elias said. But we don't have to. Kara nodded. We just have to last long enough. Survive until the truth spreads to every corner of the galaxy, Commander Jun Lee added. If even one of us makes it to the core broadcast array, we can share the full memory to every ship, every planet, every system. Elias looked around the room. This is not Earth's revenge. This is Earth's voice. We don't fight to win a war. We fight to make sure the child grows up knowing who we were. Suddenly the AI spoke. Empire fleet entering Sector 9K. Estimated time to engagement: 2 hours. Dreadnought-class vessel confirmed. Command signal, Admiral Tarvik. Everyone in the room went quiet. Elias stood tall. Then let's make history remember us. The human fleet prepared for battle. They sent one final message to the galaxy. This is the voice of Earth. We are not gone. We are not broken. We are awake, and we will be heard. On the edge of Sector 9K, the stars trembled. 2 forces faced each other. One polished, massive, merciless. The other rusted, old, burning with purpose. But only one side had something worth dying for. Inside the Resolve, Elias stood beside the child's CRYO-pod. He whispered, we are the last war. If we lose, there will never be another chance. Outside, the stars exploded into light as the Empire moved to strike. And the last human fleet surged forward, not for victory, but for memory, for truth, for the child. The sky tore open. Flashes of blue and red burned across the stars as Earth's sleeper fleet faced the full force of the Empire. 26 Imperial warships moved like a wall of steel, backed by the massive dreadnought Vindicator, its weapons. Glowing with deadly energy in front of them stood only 6 human vessels. 6 ships from a dead planet. Rusty, old, uneven, but awake, and filled with memory, on board the Resolve. Elias Wren stood at the command chair.com as fire shook the hull. Behind him, Carousel watched the child's cryopod. The baby slept peacefully, unaware that history was being written just outside. Captain Vale spoke quickly. Shields are at 60%. One more direct hit, and we lose power to the port side. Elias didn't blink. We hold. Wait. The AI spoke. Next. Incoming signal from Nova Wing. Commander Kellen requests permission to begin the decoy run. Elias nodded once. Permission granted. For Earth. Nova Wing broke formation and charged the left flank of the Empire's fleet. It didn't have powerful weapons, but it had speed. Its stealth systems blinked in and out, drawing fire, pulling the larger ships away from the others. Commander, Kellen sent a final message as the ship vanished into the enemy ranks. Make them remember. Nova Wing out. Then dash static. The ship was gone. Tears filled Vale's eyes. We're losing them. Elias stood slowly. No, we're becoming them. He pointed at the map. Polaris, move up the right side. Lay mines near the Dreadnought's engines. Echo 1, cloak, and move beneath the fleet. We'll split them. Commander Genly responded with a grin. I was born for chaos. Inside the Vindicator, Admiral Tarvik stood calmly as reports came. In 3 Earth ships destroyed. 2 remain. Resolve is still standing. He turned to his gunnery officer. Destroy it now. The Vindicator's main cannon powered up a beam of pure energy that could vaporize a moon. But then a blast tore through the rear engines. The ship shook violently, rear shields down. Oh, they planted charges. They're inside the engine bay, Tarvik screamed. Find them, kill them. But it was too late. Polaris had given its last breath. On the Resolve, Kara clutched the child's pod. She's waking. The baby stirred in the liquid, her heartbeat speeding up. Her small hands floated gently, her face soft and full of life. Elias stepped beside her. If we lose, let her remember this moment. Not as defeat, but as defiance. The final 3 ships formed a line. Resolve, Echo 1, and the crippled Starflame. All damaged, all tired, but all ready. The AI gave its last update. Enemy Dreadnought targeting main reactor. Death certain in 30 seconds. Vale whispered, this is it. Elias looked at the CRYO dashpod and smiled. Then let's give them something to remember forever. He placed his hand on the last command panel. Broadcast everything. Full memory vault. No filter. No encryption. The AI hesitated. This action will expose all of Earth's secrets. Do it, Elias said. Let them see everything. Across the galaxy, the truth erupted. The Resolve systems connected to old satellites, abandoned relay towers, forgotten listening posts, the memories of Earth wars, the peace, the beauty. The betrayal spread like wildfire. Billions watched, some in silence, some in tears, some in rage. Children saw oceans, workers saw stars, soldiers saw lies, and for the first time in 300 years humanity was known again. Inside the Vindicator, Admiral Tarvik watched helplessly. He shouted, "Cut the signal! Destroy the source!" But the engineers shook their heads. It's too late. The message is everywhere. It cannot be stopped. And then, a final explosion rocked the Dreadnought's spine. Echo 1 had rammed it directly, its core detonating. Inside, the Vindicator broke in too. On the Resolve, the hull cracked. Flames poured from the sides. Systems failed. The AI's voice slowed. Judgment core, collapsing. Final message, complete. Elias stood on the bridge, surrounded by fire and memory. He looked at Kara, at the child, at the stars. We were never trying to win, he whispered. We were only trying to be heard. Then the Resolve exploded. A bright light lit the sky. Hours. Later, in a neutral system, light years away. The memory signal was still playing. A small alien child watched on a dusty screen as images of Earth flowed by blue skies. Music, cities, laughter, art, a mother holding her baby, then a voice. This was Earth. We were not perfect, but we were real, and now we are remembered. The screen went dark. The child looked at her father. Were they monsters? The father shook his head. No, they were people, just like us. Across the stars, the message changed everything. Alliances. shifted. Empires trembled. And on a small colony moon far from the Wara, single escape pod drifted down from the sky. Inside it, the child, wrapped in warmth, breathing, watching, waiting ready to grow up in a galaxy that finally knew her name.